Hey there, amplifiers. Thanks for tuning in. A lot of times we're talking about amplifying your message, getting your marketing message in front of your ideal prospects, and then looking to guide the conversation forward so they can become a customer. But far many times, people get these great opportunities, they connect these leads, but then they don't know how to close those conversations, or should I say, open those conversations. And it's important. If you believe that you can help people and take away their problems and challenges and help them get to where they want to go, then you need to be able to effectively get them to take new actions. And that requires a form of sales. That requires being able to move the relationship further. And today we've got a guest who's really an expert when it comes to helping people do better when it comes to sales. So cool thing is we both have a connection to the grandfather of direct response marketing, Mr. Dan Kennedy. And so I'd like to welcome to Growth Amplifiers, Ari Galper. Thank you for being here today.
Sure thing. Absolutely. Appreciate you having me.
Appreciate you being here and for willing to share some great insights with the Growth Amplifiers audience. So to help us get in a little bit in tune with your backstory and what we're doing here today, could you kind of give us how you got started and what you're doing?
Yeah. So as you know, and the audience may not know, I specialize in a unique field called trust-based selling. And it's designed for businesses that are in a low volume, high margin quadrant where they're not chasing a lot of volume, but every single opportunity counts, and who hate the idea of the act of selling in itself. So this might be welcome news to the audience here, because I've developed a unique method for the last 2 decades called trust-based selling to build trust with someone in a short amount of time so they feel comfortable working with you. Now, this came from a pivotal moment that happened to me, a story that happened to me that I think might give some context to why we're here. I used to be, a long time ago, sales manager in a software company. We launched the first online website tracking tools. Now they're called Google Analytics, but we were one of the first ones at the gate many years ago. And I remember getting an inbound phone call from our website from a huge company, a whale of opportunity. And he wanted me to do a demo for his business, or because they have multiple websites. And it was such a big opportunity. If I close this sale, it would double the revenue in one transaction. That's how big it was. Wow. The day finally came. I was in the conference room with my CEO, big long conference table, and on the table was the old school speakerphone. Remember the Star Trek looking speakerphones? Hit the dial tone and dial the number, and there he was. He says hello. I said hello. The next thing I hear is he says to me, Ari, let us tell you who's with us on the line today. I said great. Next thing I hear is, my name is John. I'm global CEO. Perfect. My name is Mike. I'm head of global IT. Amazing. My name is Julie. I'm head of global marketing. Incredible. Everybody on this call was a decision maker. Like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen today. So I introduced myself, explained what we do, had them all log into a rudimentary webinar style thing that we had back then. And I started showing them live on one of their websites what it looked like to collect real-time data. And this is all new, so I'm showing this to them and taking them through screens. And I'm hearing this noise on the phone call, like, wow, that's great. This is amazing. I can't believe it. They started asking me all kinds of questions. How does it work? How do I install it? What's the technology behind it? And of course, I had all the answers. I was friendly. I wasn't over aggressive. I was just being myself. There was so much chemistry on this phone call. It was like a love fest on the phone. You know what I'm talking about?
It's a different type of call. It's a different type of show, man. Just kidding.
They got the questions. You got the answers. You're saying to yourself, this is so perfect. No resistance. Hour goes by. My contact says to me, Ari, this is amazing. We love it. Look, give us a call a couple weeks, follow up with us, and we'll move this thing forward. I was like, amazing. So I said my goodbyes. I took my arm and my hand, reaching for the phone on the middle of the table, the speakerphone, hit the off button. As I'm reaching for the off button, by complete accident, I hit the mute button instead of the off button.
Uh-oh.
And a small click happened, and they thought I hung up the phone. In that split second, a voice inside of me said, Ari, go to the dark side. Be a fly in the wall. Go where no one's ever gone before. So next thing I know, I pulled my thumb back for a moment. They started talking amongst themselves. thinking I had left the call. Now, I was waiting to hear what I expected to hear. Like, hey, this is amazing. Let's get this guy going. Let's roll this thing forward. But let me share with you what I heard verbatim, word for word. That's why we're all here today. Is what they said. They said, we're not going to go with him. Keep using him for more information and make sure we shop someplace else cheaper. Knife in heart twist. I was in a state of shock. And I snapped out of it, hit the off button, looked at the wall, and I said to myself, what did I do wrong? I was competent. I was professional. I wasn't salesy. They were interested. Everything that you'd imagine it to be a great conversation ended up being a situation where they didn't tell me the truth. And that's where I realized that moment that something in the sales game has become dysfunctional. Well, one party is not feeling comfortable telling the truth to someone else. And I realized the reason for that is a lack of deep trust between the two parties. And so I made it my mission 2 decades ago to untangle this dysfunctional relationship and make it healthy and build a process called trust-based selling to allow both parties to feel comfortable telling each other the truth without having to sell at all. And that became my whole premise behind my Unlock the Game process. And we now have a bunch of folks who are growing their business without having to sell at all using the old techniques.
I'm a big fan because I think old techniques, the good snake oil salesperson, the used car salesperson, no offense to used car salespeople, we need people doing that job. But the old school people were manipulative. They were trying to influence people and peer pressure you into doing something. And it was almost like tricking you into doing something. And not a fan. I say get sales out your mind. It's about sharing. It's about enrolling people in new possibilities. But you have trust-based selling, and you've got some principles to it. You've got some things that you believe are foundational to changing your belief and your idea of what sales is. So could you share with us kind of the principles behind this new method?
Yes. So it starts with a mindset shift. Okay. You have to kind of see, we've been programmed to grow up in an environment of the old model, which is the know, like, and trust model, where we try and get someone to like us first, build a relationship with them first, and hopefully from there we make the sale. But I realized there are 3 principles that you have to embed first before you can make that happen. Number 1 is you have to diffuse the pressure inside the conversation. You have to use languaging called trust-based languaging. And I'll give examples in a little while that takes the pressure out of the moment because your prospects feel and sense that you could have a hidden agenda behind why you're being nice to them, why you're giving value to them. And they might think it's just to make the sale. So you have to realize how to bring that wall down. Then there's the idea of focusing on the truth and not the sale, letting go of the end goal in your mind, staying focused, and really helping them feel comfortable unraveling to you the truth of their problem so you know where you stand. And the last one this is a big one. We're shifting your thinking from solution-centric thinking to problem-centric thinking. See, we're as experts, we feel this need to prove ourselves, to flex, right? Someone says, well, how can you help me? We can't help but to try and tell them why we're better, why we're good. The problem with that is that solution-based, that's from your perspective. But I've got a process called the one-call sale where you shift that model away from you, where you only focus on going deep down what I call the iceberg around their problem to a very deep level where they ultimately say to you, where does it hurt? And that's the whole shift to make to succeed without them feeling you have a hidden agenda.
I think I like to say if you're pushing your agenda, you're going to push people away. Pushing is pushy. No one likes it, and it's a bad habit. So I like the idea of polling and enrolling and just sharing what is possible. Help people see, but in order for you to even have a potential solution, you need to get to that down to the iceberg, right? What is at the bottom? What really makes you what helps you to understand what their real challenge is? Where's that pain coming from? So what have you seen change recently in the economy that has kind of helped you lead this new AI movement?
Well, I think we are now what I call a trust recession. And what that means is that we are now a commoditized economy where others do what you do. Whether it's better or worse, the prospect has no idea. So you are, not you, but your listeners are being shopped right now. They're being compared to somebody else, whether they're an accountant or an advisor, right? The prospect doesn't know how you're different. But what do we try and do? We say, no, wait, we are different. Let me tell you how we're different. Let me give you value right now. Let me educate you. See, that's the problem. We're triggered to have to defend ourselves and try and differentiate ourselves. And what happens is you end up doing what I call free consulting. Free consulting is when you give a lot of value and they say to you, wow, this has been great. Let me think about it and we'll get back to you. Then they ghost you and you chase them. That vicious cycle is the trust recession. And so what needs to happen is you got to say to yourself, how can I break this cycle? How can I, and I'll say this right now, stop delivering value pre-sale. Value in itself has been commoditized. Others can give value just like you can. So your differentiation won't be value deliver anymore. It'll be your ability to build trust with them based on their problems. That's the big shift that's going on now in the economy. And I'm sure those listening now are from the commoditization. They're being shopped, probably on price in many cases, or you're not getting commitment on the first meeting. And that's the problem that we're working on solving here, which we have an answer for.
So from your standpoint, you want to flip that around and get people to have more trust. Most people would say, hey, if I want to build trust, what I would do is understand someone's challenge and then provide a way to solve that, at least so that some people could see, all right, I can see that. I didn't know that before. I'm stuck in the mud. I don't want to be stuck in the mud. You've now shown me a way out of the mud, and that can work, at least in some cases, to help people say, yeah, that I need a path there. So what would be the alternative? What's a different way to flip it on the head and do something different?
Well, the problem with that is, as an expert, when they give us their problem, it's not like it's new. We've heard it 100 times, right? They're in our market. We know their problem. And what happens is we qualify and assess them so fast. We may ask a couple questions. Then we go, yep, I can help you with that. Let me show you the way. And then we start shifting the whole dialogue over to us and the solution. The difference here is you don't want to make any more assumptions and stop trying to solve their problem. Spend time doing what I call going down the iceberg, where you ask trust, not qualifying questions, but trust-based questions to unpack their problem at such a deep level that they eventually say this to you: how can you help me? You have to wait for that moment. Don't interject and show them the way out until you have them own the impact and the seriousness of their problem. I've set up a whole series of questions around this, and I'll give you a couple examples right now so you understand how this works in real time. It's called the one-call sale. We're in one meeting with somebody, assuming they're qualified. They should be able to feel comfortable onboarding with you without you having to over-deliver on value, build a relationship with them, and become their friend. Here's the irony of all this. They really don't care about how you solve their problem. What they care about at first is, are you the one to solve it or not? And they're judging you. I'll say it again, that they don't really care about how you solve their problem. What they care about is, are you the one to solve it or not? That's the decision in their mind, and they're deciding that on how well you build trust with them. They're hiring you on your approach itself, not your value. If they show up on a meeting with you, they've seen your LinkedIn profile, they've seen your website, they assume you have credibility. Credibility's been commoditized. Everyone's got that now on the web. You can't win there. You can't win on value either. Value is delivered after they're a client, not before they're a client. So here's some examples of questions to ask to begin to unpack their problem. When they show up on Zoom, let's just say it's a Zoom meeting or a Teams or first conversation, most people usually start with, hey, how'd you hear about us? Oh, nice to meet you. What do you do? They start to become their friend. And they know in the back of their mind, okay, this chit chat has a reason for it. Here's what you say instead. They show up. First thing you say is, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you as well. That's it for chit chat. You're done. Then you say this first. You say, if it's okay with you, if you wouldn't mind, take a step back for a moment. Walk me through your background, through your situation, your business, and up to your current accounting challenges you might have, and we'll go from there. Would that be okay with you? Take your fingers like this over your mouth. Sit back so they can see you like a doctor, and go like that. This trains you not to what?
Speak over talk.
Don't speak. Stop talking. I know we're trained to engage, create chemistry, create dialogue. We think the sale is going to happen when there's chemistry. Sorry, they don't even have to like you to work with you. You know,
Interjection here, because in this profession, and people know if they've watched this show that I'm not a hater of accountants. I'm advocates, but we all of us have some bad habits we could develop. And I know in this space, in technical spaces, what I've seen a lot of times, where people will talk so much about tech and certifications and things that their client doesn't even understand. They're like, look at all these things that I've accomplished. Look at all these awards and in technology that I have in my tech stack and these certifications and people are like, I don't even know what you're saying. And it's not helping me with what I'm trying to get done right now. And then they'll talk about, here's my prices and packages, and here's all the services and the things I have to offer. And here's the price points, and look at all that. And this is what I call it. And to your point, pushing too much information, and people will lean back. Thank you. It's nice to know. And you overwhelm people, right?
Yep. And then you hear, I'll think about it. Thank you so much. And they ghost you. Perfectly qualified prospect, but guess who messed it up? You, the seller, because you think that selling in itself is about value delivery, relationship delivery, and them liking you. All that is wrong, bad. It should be thrown out immediately because it's all been commoditized. They're hiring you on your approach. If they feel in any way that your process connects you to the stereotype of selling, it's over. They know it's a game. So you have to break that game by changing the approach where you're more the doctor and they're the patient. Okay? When you go see a doctor, what's the first thing he says to you or she says to you? He says, where does it hurt? They don't try to become your friend. They don't want to get to know you. They don't ask you about your shoes, why you heard about them, talk about when they went to school, who are their patients. None of that. So you have to have that with bedside manner, of course, and empathy. Questions to ask. So that was the first question. I'll say it again. If it's okay with you, you wouldn't mind, take a step back for a moment, or with your background, your situation, up to your current accounting challenges you might have in your business. We'll go from there. You sit back, you say, would that be okay with you? Ask permission. Would that be okay with you? Sit back like this. It sends a message that you aren't talking. It's not about you today. You're not talking. It's them. Then they'll unravel on, they'll download on you. You'll see they'll start talking and talking and talking. Now, as you're listening, your instinct is to do what?
The instinct a lot of people have is to all right, now let me just tell you how we resolve that.
You try and solve the problem as you're hearing the problem. You have to stop solving the problem. That's not trust building. Just listen, be present, absorb it. They can sense when your mind is somewhere else. When they're done talking, all you have to do is do this, just crystallize the issue. So what I'm hearing from you is, your core challenge is X, Y, and Z. Is that right? And they go, yes, exactly. That's the first checkbox of, he gets me, she gets me. Next question to ask, but I called down the iceberg. How long has this been a concern for you for? Fingers in the mouth. Train yourself to stop talking. Don't interject. Give them space. Next question to ask. What have you done so far on your own to try and resolve this? Then the next layer down is called the impact layer. The cost of inaction, COI. What's it costing them not to solve the problem? Reverse engineer it with them. Help them build a business case to justify your fee. If there's no justification for the loss or the impact of the problem, they sure as heck aren't going to hire you now. So you have to say things like, have you considered the impact to your business by overpaying on taxes every year unknowingly? Have you calculated how much you're overpaying you don't need to be paying? Have you considered the fact that your situation doesn't necessarily have to be that way? What's the impact when you go home at night? You have to work with the people for them to feel you care about them. And they have to own the problem, because the last question you're going to ask is this one, and I'll leave you on this one. Is this a priority for you to address and resolve once and for all, to finally get this off your plate? You see how you have taken down a process where they're going to own it, justify it, see the losses to make your fee irrelevant? If you're not doing that, you're just playing a game, and you probably need more leads because you're not converting as many as you could to grow your business. If you can solve that problem right there of trust building the process, it's game over for you. You can grow and grow and grow and never worry about volume anymore of leads.
What I like about what you're saying is it reminds me of what I learned going through the International Coaching Federation, just of being more of a coach, a guide, and really taking the time to be quiet and not just push your ideas on someone else. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. one technique that's been helpful for me, because, somebody who was trained initially more from the marketing sense and getting into speaking, you get used to sharing your own ideas, and you have to break that habit. I like how you put your fingers on your lips, because it helps remind you, I need to shush. It's a cue for yourself. It communicates to the other person. Something that's also been helpful for me is just because I have the visionary creative side, and I know a lot of people in like tax planning or something like that. They might not think they're creative, but they are in their own world and creative with numbers. But it's to, prior to that call, switch that hat from I'm going to be creative right now to I'm going to be listening right now. I'm going to be extracting right now. My goal here is to seek first to understand. So I thought that was great tips, Ari. What other cool tips could you care to share while you're here and got the audience's attention? Because you're doing a great job sharing
I'll
great
share one
concepts.
more big one before I have to go. Okay.
Sure.
I'm going to ask your audience to remove this phrase forever from the vocabulary and never ever use it again the rest of your life as of today. If you're hearing this right now, here it is. Never use the phrase follow up ever again in your life. Never call someone and say, hi, I'm calling to follow up. Never write an email and say I'm writing to follow up. Follow up is a sales word. It puts pressure on them. It's momentum to move things forward. Don't ever use that word ever again. Instead, use this phrase. I'm giving you a call to see if you have any feedback on our previous conversation, any feedback on the proposal, any feedback on the last meeting. Feedback's going backwards, not forwards. Your goal is to take the pressure out of the process, and you might be unknowingly putting pressure on people, not because you're overly salesy, but because you've been trained to and conditioned to pursue the sale. And if you can shift your mindset and want to learn a new trust-based skill, you will succeed beyond your imagination by simply addressing the issue that's yourself and your conditioning to modernize to the modern world. And that's what I'll leave you with.
I think it's very insightful that you help people see, when you're saying you're following up, sometimes people just know that, they're following up because they're focused on the sale, right? That's why they're following up. So changing that and asking for feedback, connecting on a different issue, providing value in a different way, building trust. I tell people, don't even focus on trying to make a sale. Know that that's an end result, that if you do a good job serving people and providing a great experience with people by understanding them, letting them feel heard, and then at some point in time, you'll get to share how you can help them.
The key is the structure and the languaging around this process called the one call sale. And I do have a model for how to onboard them from there. But on this note, what I'll do is I'll leave your audience, if you'd like, with something they can learn more from. Is that okay?
That's awesome.
I have a new book just came out called Trust in a Split Second. And you can get a copy for free at www.thetrustbook.com. On that page, you can order the book. We'll pay for postage. We'll mail it to you in the mail. And you have a chance on the way out there to schedule a time on our calendars to have a one-on-one chat with us about your business. Now, just the experience of having that with us, you'll learn how we don't sell. You'll experience what it's like not to be pitched, but to have someone help you identify what your issues are and how to fix them. And I think if you experience that for yourself, that in itself would be a huge learning for you. So hopefully you can grab a copy of thetrustbook.com and learn about this approach, because it could be very helpful. All right.
I always encourage amplifiers, if you're tuning in, don't just listen, take a new action. And if someone's making an offer like Ari is, don't procrastinate. Go to the website right now and download a copy.
Actually, it's in the mail. It's a physical in the mail book. We pay for postage. It's a hard copy, and then schedule afterwards. And I think you'll be very happy.
At the very least, like you said, you go through the experience, you'll learn something just from going through an experience. Exactly. And if all you did was picked up one idea that helped you improve even by a smidgen, think of how much that can improve through the duration of your career, through all the people that you help guide. It's truly powerful. Small hinges swing big doors. So, all right, thank you so much for the offer, for sharing great pieces of information and making it very easy to digest. Can't imagine that call. I actually had a similar call on a Zoom, except for mine, it ended a little bit better, where I heard the opposite. but I actually did listen in, and then I was like, yeah, I kind of feel bad doing that, but I didn't say I was hanging up. I said I was going to take myself off. They're like, he's gone? I'm like, I didn't say I was going to leave. They continue talking. Anyway, so one of the traditions we have at the end of these shows is if you could share something that you've learned on your journey that might be helpful for someone on theirs. It can be related to what you do, or it could be just anything that you've learned in life.
Okay. Well, this is my last, and I got to run in a second. But what I'll leave you with, I've got a son who has Down syndrome named Toby. I wrote a book about him called Lessons from Toby many years ago. I learned from him. And he's very transparent, very loving. If you know someone who has Down syndrome, you know they're very special people. My whole approach is based upon his view of the world, okay? Trust building. And what I learned from him is this. You have to let go of your agenda to really have someone trust you. And when you do that, the world changes around you. So I'd encourage you to learn how to do that. And not only will help you in your business, but you'd be surprised relationship-wise that we're going to help you as well. On that note, I've got to run. I got another meeting waiting for me, but I appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. Keep on amplifying.
Take care. Signing off.
Yeah. To show your support, take a moment to amplify this message by sharing it online. To connect with me or gain more business growth insights, visit www.growthamplifiers.com. Thank you for your support.